So there's genuine positivity that's usually fueled by some level of past pain that's been healed. And then there's toxic positivity, which is active pain that hasn't been healed and you can see through the cracks. Welcome back to Along the Spiritual Journey. So these two things are very important to differentiate because, as I say, everything is dualistic with polarized ends. And what we want to do as spiritual beings and human avatars is find the balance. So, where we most get stuck is people assume that if you're happy, you must be faking it. This can't be real. How are you so happy and I'm not happy? How are you achieving happiness and I'm not? Happiness is a word. Okay, let's get that straight. A lot of people hear happy and they assume it means this persona of, hi, how are you? Oh my God, and everything's great, and everything's perfect, and nothing's wrong, and da 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 da. And that's where, again, it can be the truth of positive, genuine happiness, or it could be distorted, masking, toxic positivity. Again, it's about how you're actually healing the journey inside of you because only you know what's going on inside of you. No one else can. We can talk about stuff all day long, but if you're not doing the actual work inside of you, sitting by yourself, focusing on triggers, things that upset you, why it upsets you, how it upsets you, I'm not saying dwell on it, but in the moment of that thing happening, ask yourself, can I deal with this now or can I shelf it? This is where you start falling from the middle to distorted toxic positivity because, again, it doesn't make you a bad person if you live in toxic positivity. It's a survival mechanism. Sometimes our world is so chaotic that we have to just be like, everything's fine, everything's good. That's it. That's all I can say. That's all I can see. And that's the delulu that you have to create until you can physically get yourself out of that survival moment and into peace. And your body's going to have some triggers left over. It's residual. It's normal. I still go through it sometimes too, where I'm sitting in peace in my apartment and nothing's happening and life is just great, watching what I want to watch, eating what I want to eat, working remotely. And I'm just like, oh, life, oh, life. And then one of my friends is like, well, you shut up. You literally can do what you want. I'm like, I did pray for this moment, didn't I? And that takes me from distorted back to genuine positivity. That's what we call transmutation, when you can take energy, or alchemy, when you can take energy and make it into something else. Where before this thing was trying to harvest your energy, now you're harvesting its energy and you're making it something that's beneficial to you. So, this is the only thing I can give people when it comes to the happiness. That's the word, but the energy is, how do I feel about me right now? Do I feel safe? Do I feel okay? Do I feel like I'm listening to what's screaming at me? Can we please just deal with this or sit down? Whatever that looks like. Sometimes for me, I have things where it's just talking. It's a voice where it's like, oh, and I feel it's making me shamed and all this stuff. And I'm like, no, no, I don't feel that way anymore. I'm not going to make myself feel bad for something that I know I've done nothing wrong, and I'm not being shamed by some invisible parent or whatever who's trying to come back and tell me what to do, because that's what most of us are reliving inside of us. Some adult telling us you can't do that for the smallest thing of us just exploring our life and our environment, because that's all childhood is about. When we traumatize that moment of exploration, it becomes this moment of fake it till you make it, mask it. And then you do meet people where they're faking it so much that when they get behind closed doors, they're mean and they're not nice. And people are like, oh my God, that is so fake. So then now in that moment, because that person's energy is so distorted, someone who's never experienced that, now they're going to be tainted a little bit and they're going to take that distorted energy and they're going to apply it to the next person who resembles that energy. This is how we start projecting onto others. When we say projections, it's not something that we do purposefully. It just happens because our mind has taken a snapshot of, oh, this is what that energy might possibly look like. Keep an eye out for it. So we go dissecting everyone and trying to pick them apart to see if they're real. And sometimes you take a person who's a really good person and you treat them like somebody from the past who hurt you, and you end up fumbling the bag because you didn't trust the energy. And so it's important to learn the difference. This is why I want people to know the difference. I am not guilty of it, where I think something's making me happy, but really it's just an old feeling that's resonating with something that made me comfortable. Again, happiness is about comfort and balance, but know if it's distorted comfort, which is, again, everything's okay, everything's fine, versus genuine happiness. Everything's gonna be okay, everything's fine, because I'm still here and I'm still working through it. And as long as I have time and space and patience, it'll be fine, right? That's where you get to a place of that person you see where in the midst of chaos, they seem calm. Like, they can just walk over, take care of the thing, grab the alligator by the face, whatever, just calm and cool and collected, and everyone else is freaking out because that person has learned how to tame their emotional intelligence enough to know, like, if I logically move a certain way, I can conquer this thing. If I emotionally stay balanced. If I'm chaotic in my emotions, then I'm going to spill over and nothing's going to get done. And now we're two bleeding hearts just bleeding out everywhere. And we need somebody who knows how to put the pressure on and make sure that we don't bleed out. This is us, the human avatar, doing the work. When we say do the work, that's what it means. There's energy beings all around us. I don't care what anyone says. When we pass, no matter how smart you are or how rich you are, we're all going to pass from this earth and you're going to be a carcass and it's going to go back to the earth. Period. So that means there's some spiritual energies and stuff floating around that you need to resolve. And if you don't, if you choose not to, you don't have to believe it if you want to. When you go back to these afterlives, because we have enough written evidence anyways, it doesn't matter our evidence. We are humans, we're not lasting forever. So our souls go somewhere, the energy goes somewhere, and if it's not energy that was balanced in the opportunity that we have as this avatar school, then it's going to be another repeated cycle. That's all it's about. So take the time to learn. Joy and happiness is about what makes you balanced and knowing that you've worked through the pain so that you can have the strength and wisdom to overcome the next thing that's going to come back again. Because our earth world changes and evolves, but it stays consistent as far as what we know, seasons and this and that. So prepare for the winters, prepare for the summers. That's what emotional stability is about and emotional intelligence. Work ahead. It's okay. So when those hard seasons come, you're prepared and you're not all like, oh my God, I wasn't prepared. And now you're falling apart every time something happens. I'm not picking on people who that happens too, but that's an accountability part of your balance of am I happy and faking it and it's a bunch of nerves still raw and open and I'm just putting a mask over it, or is it actually healed and I've taken the time to do wound care and let it breathe and actually heal and cover itself as a scar. It might be a scar, but at least it's healed, versus this thing that doesn't look like a scar and I'm covering it up and trying to make it look pretty, and eventually it's just going to get necroted and it's going to fall off. Okay, so know how to balance your energies before they become distorted or polarized, because you can't go too far into blissfulness where you're just not paying attention to anyone, and that's okay too. But you might lose a few friends because, or family members, because you're not going to care about what they feel, and that's the beauty and the joy and the double-edged sword of choosing happiness over others' joy, which is masking and trying to do everything for them and hold up this image, but they're gaining everything, you're gaining nothing. So that's the double-edged sword of that. So choose wisely, love yourselves, find peace. Besos.